All right, everything working, Tom?
Well, it says it is, but let me just verify. Yep, it's working. We're good. We are live.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regular August meeting of the Solano County Democratic Central Committee. Thank you all for joining us. We have a number of guests this evening. However, they are all uh, candidates who will be addressing us later in the evening about their campaigns. So we'll forego the customary introductions of them, but thank you for joining us. Tom, if you want to just pull up the land acknowledgement
Sure.
and
Is everyone seeing the title screen?
Yes.
I
Okay.
am. And I'll ask Jeannie White's was this, if she'll read our land acknowledgement this month.
We pause to acknowledge that Solano County Democratic Central Committee of the Democratic Party sits on the land of the Miwok and Patwin people. We remember their continued connection to this region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray in their traditional homeland. We offer our respect to their elders and the Miwok and Patwin people of the past and present.
All right, thank you for that, Jeannie.
Welcome.
And I don't see any new
I
people who
believe.
need to be sworn in.
Okay. I think actually, Monica, don't you have someone that needs to be sworn in?
Or has Anna? I thought Anna has been sworn in already, but
Yes, in fact, she's asking if I'm in the meeting, so I'm just answering her as a yes.
Okay.
okay. So we're all good there. So let's uh, jump to our next item, which is the approval of our minutes and agenda. The first item is our July 24th, 2024 minutes.
Let me bring those up real quick. I thought I had everything loaded, but forgot about the minutes.
Are we going for the minutes first, Tom? Or?
Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
Why am I not finding Kathy's?
I know those were emailed out to people.
Mm.
So I will.
I already read them. I don't need to see them again. I move that we approve the minutes.
Okay, Paula has made a motion. Is there a second?
This is Gian McDougall. I second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
I can launch a poll if you want.
Sure. Launch the poll. Please vote early and often, or as often as Tom has allowed you to vote.
Well, right now Zoom is not. There we go.
Looks like pretty much everyone who is eligible. Okay, motion approved.
Passes.
Thank you, everyone. Next item is tonight's agenda. As you will see, with the exception of our treasurer's report, all of our customary reports have been asked to be submitted in writing only. There'll be no oral reports. We will be accepting announcements and public comment after the candidate interviews and business. So that's at the end of tonight's agenda in order for us to get right to our interviews. So with that, I will entertain a motion to with the agenda.
So
This is
moved,
Monica.
is
I move
Paula.
the agenda as printed. My bad if there was someone else.
No,
Sorry.
that I'll second Monica's motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll please launch the poll. And while you're all voting on the agenda, I will exercise chair's prerogative. In my very brief convention report, it was fun, except for the unwelcome gift we purchased coming back of COVID. So,
How are you feeling now, Don?
well, Paxlovid makes everything taste very funky. And I am single-handedly raising the value of Kleenex stock. So
Thanks. That's one of my retirement funds. So thanks, Don. All right, we're past a minute.
hey,
I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll.
awesome.
So passes.
All right, everyone, thank you. And with that, let's jump to our treasurer's report.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Don, no, you're not alone because COVID is going around. So you're not by yourself. Okay, this is August 2024's Treasurer's Report. We'll start with the federal account with a beginning balance of $2,748.36. We had an allocation transfer in our credits of $360.79, a contribution of $35, and Harris Wallstein income of $25, with a total credits of $420.79, bringing that to $3,169.15. Now looking at our debits, River City Business Services at $589.52. Our monthly storage unit at $136.99. Our insurance, our liability insurance came in this month, $725. ActBlue merchant fees, which are bank fees, $5.15. And then our Nation Builder info technology fees, our software fees of $336, brought our total debts to $1,792.66, with our federal ending balance of $1,376.40. Now looking to our state account, with a beginning balance of $2,266.54, we had credits of a contribution of $5. Total credits were just $5, so that brought us to $2,271.54. And looking at our debits, we had ActBlue Technical Services at $1.19, and that allocation transfer $360.79. Total debts being $361.98, with our ending state balance of $1,900 $909.56. The total federal and state accounts were $3,286.05. And just FYI, the Harris wall signs have been going well. We didn't start that until around the 19th or so, so it's not reflected in this, but reflected in the September report. Okay. And that's it for the treasurer's report. Any questions or?
I have a question about whether this, how many signs we still have available and, can
We actually don't have any. We're sold out now.
Okay, and I know that we were gonna order more. Have we?
That's
Yes,
also
we're gonna order
included.
more, but we're gonna have to look at, we probably, when we order is going to be dependent on how the finances flow into the account. So I think we'll be ordering soon, but I think we've got some other things that come before that, such as our door hangers.
And we'll be
So-
discussing all that as part of the business on tonight's agenda as well.
Thank you. Sorry
Okay.
about jumping ahead.
No worries. Thank you.
All right. And with that, we are ready to jump into our candidates interviews. As you all will remember, we have an abundance of candidates running this year. So we are doing candidate interviews in two sections. One this evening, and the other will be on Saturday, September 7th. And we expect, obviously, September 7th will be quite a bit longer than this session. So we'll just encourage you all to fortify yourself and be ready for that particular event as we hear from the rest of our candidates. Following a lot of discussion, the e-board said the ground rules for this cycle are as follows. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for an opening statement, followed by up to 5 minutes for questions. There will be no closing statement, even if there is remaining time after all questions have been asked. We'll ask members to submit your questions via chat. And then for each candidate within the race, we'll be putting them into the waiting room while we talk to their other compatriots. And the same goes for members. You will be also asked to be in the waiting room. You cannot hear other candidates speak, but you can be present for the rest of the candidates in the evening. And with that, the first person I have on my agenda is Audrey Jacks. So do we have Audrey? Could you?
I am here, yes.
Highlight her, Tom, and then
And I have put the other candidates in that race already in the waiting room.
all right, awesome. So I'm going to hit Audrey. I'm going to hit the timer once you begin speaking, and you'll have 2 minutes. So whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks everyone for being here and this opportunity. So why am I running for school board? A question I ask myself often at 2 a.m, usually. But honestly, I'm running because teaching and education has been my life's work for 36 years. I've been very lucky to find a job that I absolutely love. And one that allows me to have a positive effect on future generations. And I feel extremely passionate about teaching and education. And I feel that something that distinguishes me in this field are the deep ties I have to the community because of the relationships that I've been able to build with my students and families and my colleagues.
So something, I found a quote many years ago, and I've carried it with me in my life um, uh, always. And it's about relationships. And the quote is that no significant learning can occur without a significant relationship. And I know as a parent, as a teacher, as a mentor and a coach to beginning teachers, and as my work as a union organizer, no words were ever truer that were spoken. It's all about relationships. So I feel that I can continue to serve my community as a trustee and build relationships with staff and our constituents, founded on three very important things: trust, respect, and inclusion. And we need that in our district desperately. New leadership on our school board has the opportunity to create a culture that is healthy and supportive and is trusting. And that's something that we don't have right now. I believe that I can be part of this group of new leaders that can make that happen in our district. Thank you.
Now, technology will just cooperate with me. Thank you very much. Your timing was perfect on that. Again, please drop your questions into chat. And while I'm waiting for those questions to show up, first question I have is, given your background as a teacher within the district, do you feel you would have a sufficiently independent point of view, not to necessarily be automatically listening, prioritizing the opinions of your fellow teachers, or conversely, prioritizing the opinions of district administration when making decisions?
I feel that every decision I should be making should be about students. And so when faced with decisions, the first thing I'm going to ask myself, is this in the best interest of students? Is this going to support them more? Is this going to advance their experience in our school district? And sometimes I would think that's going to align with teachers. Sometimes it's going to align more possibly with a direction that management wants to move in. But ultimately, it's not about whose side. It's always about what's best for students. And hopefully, with a new board, with new leadership, there's not going to be these very separate factions of teachers and management. That hopefully there's a way, and it's certainly work that I've been working on for several years, of trying to bring these two groups together and moving together based on what's best for students.
Okay, awesome. How would you improve the education of students around climate change?
I think that there's some really exciting things going on at Sassoon Valley in terms of their work they're doing with organic gardening and sustainability. And I think that we need to turn to schools like that, see what they're doing, and replicate it at other schools. I think one of our tasks when we educate the future generation is to make sure that they're not just aware of the issues that we're dealing with right now with climate change, but what they will inherit as adults, and to empower them to know that they can make a change with those things. So I definitely would look to programs that we currently have now and find ways to replicate them at all different sites. And also pull in experts that we know that are in our community. We live in an amazing part of California where we can turn to so many experts and bring them in and help them look at our schools and our programs and help us develop educational opportunities for our students around climate change.
Okay, and jumping to the next question, what is one of the things you are most proud of in your professional experience?
Oh, as a teacher, one of the things I'm most proud of was being part of a team that brought the first after-school intervention program to Fairfield Sassoon. This was many years ago. But we saw at Dover Middle School that we were graduating 8th grade students that had failed. And we couldn't do anything except move them on to Fairfield High School. And this to us was unacceptable. So we decided, what are we going to do to change that? And it was an effort that started with a small team of us, but it eventually grew to the whole school where all the teachers were participating. And we had students understand what we were asking them to do. It was an after-school intervention program. They signed contracts committing to it. We provided them with food. We provided them with a nice environment to learn in. And by the time we finished the program, it was called Project 22 because you needed 22 credits to get to high school. Every teacher in the school would drop by my classroom and they would just come in and just naturally start to tutor students. And it was one of those moments where not only were we supporting our students, but our staff was coming together around this very organic program that we had developed. We started with 42 students that had signed into the program. We passed 26 students that went on to high school with passing grades.
You're awesome. And I realized that I shortchanged you with my initial questions. I'm going to be adding another 45 seconds. And then we had 2 people ask on this one, so I'm jumping to this question. What is your opinion on community schools? And can you speak about that topic? So 45 minutes.
Sure. I will try to be very quick. I'm actually on leave from my classroom, and the original grant that I was on leave came from NEA for community school development. I am a huge proponent of community schools. I would advocate strongly to bring them to Fairfield Sassoon and make that happen. The reason why is because community schools are based on 4 pillars, but the most important pillar is around shared decision making. So rather than a top-down structure that we have now where management is telling every school what to do and every school is lockstep, a community school responds to the needs of its community, but it's run by a steering committee. And so there are parents, teachers, students, community partners, administration and management, but at that steering committee table, there is parity amongst all members. And so the decisions that are made there are made by the people who know the students best. And I think there's incredible power there. And of course, it's targeted with our Title I schools. So that brings a lot of equity.
Okay. All right. Thank you. 5 minutes went by very quickly. And we did have a lot of good questions there. So thank you. There are questions that we didn't get to ask you during this. So hopefully we'll be sharing those with you and asking you if you have take the opportunity to answer them back via email later on after the meeting so that people can get their questions answered. But again, thank you. And Tom, if we can then move on to our next contestant, Suzanne Murphy.
All right, just a minute. Audrey, I'm gonna put you in the waiting room. You can go ahead and choose to leave if you want. And here comes Suzanne.
If you have her in and can get her spotlighted up.
Suzanne, you're live.
All right.
All right, thank you.
As I said with our other candidates, I'm going to hit the timer. Once you start talking, you'll have 2 minutes. So feel free.
All right. Well, thank you again. My name is Suzanne Murphy, and I appreciate the opportunity to interview here for your endorsement. A little about me. I'm a parent of 3 children that went through Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District, participating in the dual immersion and IB programs. I'm also the proud parent of a special education teacher. In my career, I have spent the last 20 years in education. I have been a teacher, college professor, coordinator, and director. My current role is the Director of Adult and Indian Education for the Martinez Unified School District. In my role, I manage over $4 million in state and federal grants. I also support 7 traditional trades apprenticeship programs throughout Contra Costa and Solano County, supporting them as their education entity and also making sure that they receive their state funding through related and supplemental instruction to support their programs. As the project director of a Title VI Indian Education grant, we support Native American students in 3 school districts with academic support in the elementary and middle school for reading and math. And we also support them with cultural activities, as well as bring cultural presentations to the schools in those districts. My reason for running is I want to give back to my community. I've worked in many different school districts. Additionally, I've also worked on a state grant that supports career technical education. I have, someone put a question in. Do I start yet or can I continue? I'm sorry. I'll
Just
continue
continue with
until,
your statement.
okay. I have worked at Napa Valley College in the Business Computer Studies department, and I want to bring my experience back to this community. I've lived in Fairfield for 30 years, and I believe I could serve the school district, the teachers, and the students well. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Appreciate you hitting it right on the nail. So let's jump to the first question.
Okay.
You answered NA on a number of the questions in the questionnaire, including what climate change issues are in your area and also about greenhouse gases.
So working, oh, sorry. Do you want me to answer that?
Being most affected by climate change, why would you answer NA?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that again? I apologize. I didn't hear you.
I said with young people being most affected by climate change, why did you answer NA or not applicable to the questions regarding climate change and greenhouse gases?
I'm not sure, but I can speak about that a lot working in Martinez and working near the refineries and also working near the marina. There definitely is issues with situations, and especially for students that can be more impacted. Those would be our students that have not secure housing. Those are for families that walk more within our communities and don't take public transportations. They all can be impacted more by climate. And those are really the populations that we need to look out for most. So I'm not sure, but I definitely know that we have people in our communities that are impacted greatly by climate. And it's usually those that are underserved in our communities.
Okay. How would you improve the education of students around climate change issues?
Well, first of all, we need to create an awareness about what those issues are. And I think we need to start with our students in the elementary school level and explain exactly what that is. As I've talked about, we need to go to our schools where we have students that can be impacted more, like the students and families that rely on public transportation or have to walk to school or don't have adequate housing or are in transitional housing. But it starts with educating when they're young so that they create an awareness. And then from there, we have to continue to bring our students up understanding about climate situations, but also really understanding who's impacted most by these situations and work for solutions and bringing it all the way up through high school and really have it be an awareness and part of our curriculum, part of what we teach our students in the schools.
Okay. What is your opinion on community schools?
Well, interesting enough, I work in adult education and we are almost like a community school where the fact is that we educate parents and the parents we educate have students in the district. So the idea of community schools is to educate the entire family and support the entire family. This is my understanding. And community schools, especially adult education, work that way, where we understand the kids are going to school, but where are the parents being supported? And also to teach them about the education system that they're involved with, especially parents that maybe are second language learners, or parents that didn't go through school traditionally or have not graduated yet. Also, too, within our adult school systems, we have all kinds of resources. We partner with many community partners. That's one of the things that I would bring, is really encouraging Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District to really partner with those community organizations. And food pantries are another thing. There is food insecurities across our entire county. And so making sure that we partner with the Solano Food Bank and have those opportunities to have pantries. We have a drive-through pantry where families can just come, they pull up how many are in their family, and they receive a week's of groceries. So my community schools, I feel like I've been in adult education for a long time, and we almost run like a community school.
Okay. Next question. Did you support the Fairfield Sassoon School Board's vote to oppose menstrual health in schools?
No, I mean, I would not. Yeah, I mean, I think health has to be taught, if that's the question.
All right. Do you support teaching critical thinking and deconstructing disinformation? If so, why? If not, why not?
Well, I have spent my career teaching in career and technical education, which in and of itself relies on critical thinking skills, on problem solving. Yes, I am a huge proponent of encouraging students to think critically, learn about issues, and how would they go about solving them. Career education, and that's one of the things I feel that we need to do a better job of in our school districts, is working toward those critical thinking skills. Career education is one way to support in that.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time to join us. And with that,
Okay.
we will let you go back to the waiting room, or if you choose to go ahead and leave, you can. And again, thank you for taking time to participate in our process this evening.
All right. Thank you very much.
And our next person is Helen Tilley.
Okay, bringing Helen Tilley from the waiting room. All right, I believe she is in with us. Hello, Helen. You're on live with the Solano
Hi,
Democratic Central Committee.
good evening. Does my time start now? You know what I just realized? Oh, well, I had a timer up, but I can't see it now.
You know what?
Anyway.
Don will be timing you. Don?
Okay, well, thank you. And Dawn, I'm so sorry that you, in service to all of us at the convention, caught COVID. That's no fun.
Well,
Okay, I have to get rid of this thing. Shall I start?
I will begin timing. Once you begin speaking, you'll have 2 minutes. And after that, we'll go into questions. So whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. Good evening. I'm Helen Tilley. I'm currently serving as the elected trustee to Area 2 of the Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District. I'm running for re-election for 3 reasons: to protect Prop 98 school financing from encroachment and debt funding, to facilitate education workforce housing in Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District, and to ensure gains in student reading and math proficiency so at least half of our students are proficient by 2028. They aren't there now. 2023 was a particularly difficult year for school financing. The administration first sought to fund our mandate by borrowing from other sources. The effect of that would be to reduce our funding by $8.3 billion statewide. This action was defeated. However, we're still facing deferrals of over $3 billion per year for the next 3 years. The effect of this on the Fairfield Sassoon Unified School District's budget is large. At least $20 million will need to be cut in the next budget cycle to fund school operations. I will work hard to keep cuts away from the classrooms while striving to maintain professional development funds for our teachers and implementing the English language arts and math adoptions so that our students can succeed. Education Workforce Housing Fairfield Sassoon owns land which could be developed into affordable teaching for our housing for our teachers. The California Department of Education Superintendent hosted a summit on this topic on August 14th. The California School Boards Association has provided a blueprint for district success, as well as a timeline from planning to move-in of 4 to 6 years. I support identifying potential FSUSD properties and partners to make education workforce housing a reality in Fairfield Sassoon, as both Santa Clara and Los Angeles districts have proven this is success. I'm seeing hits in here from individuals asking me to explain why I censured Donna Botero. Now my time's up as a result of responding to that. Is that correct?
Yeah, we'll get to those in the questions. We hit
Great.
2 minutes, so let
Great.
me set our timer here. And the first one, which hopefully is a relatively softball, do you believe in banning books?
No, never. And we have a policy against that. That's not going to happen in our district on my watch.
Second question, where do you stand on the implementation of ethnic studies? Do you back the liberated model or the state mandated curriculum? Paying careful attention to the subject of anti-Semitism and transparency in curriculum selection.
Well, our board's already voted on that. We are offering a semester of it. We have our curriculum subcommittee and our teachers and our administrators working on that. Whether I don't want to encroach on their modeling, but I certainly don't want to limit the scope of that. And it's already slated.
Okay.
I support it.
All right. And again, we had two obviously related questions. Did you vote to censure Trustee Pachero? And if so, can you explain why?
Yes, and I'd be happy to forward to you the actual censure on that. There were a number of actions that were not consistent with truth and that were not consistent with fairness or with law. And that was the reasoning behind that. So yes, I voted in favor of those censures.
Okay. Where do you stand on potential board budget cuts? What are your thoughts on the budget proposal?
Well, we have to cut $20 million. And so, as I mentioned in my opening statement, my goal is to keep that away from the classroom as much as possible. On the other hand, I'm a little bit worried about achieving the goal of improving our students' proficiency in math and English. So I want to make sure that we don't cut professional development in order to achieve that goal. And I will work very hard, as I did in 2007 through 2011, to make sure that the cuts stay away from the classroom. If that means cutting central office positions, if that, I don't want to cut support staff because we need clean, well-lit, safe spaces to accommodate our students. We need teachers that are supported in discipline. I noticed that there was a comment regarding suspensions. We can talk about that too. But yeah, it's important. We've got to make those cuts. We already identified $13.5 million in cuts last budget round in order to balance the budget and fund our labor obligations. So that was good news.
Next question. Fairfield Sassoon School District had the highest suspension and expulsion rate of Black and Latino students in the state of California. What was the reason for this, and what has been done to correct this?
That's a great question, actually, and I was looking at the dashboard before we came in. So when the board sees these cases to approve, and they've been much lower as a result of, number one, the kids weren't at school. So the expulsion rate should have gone down correspondingly, but more importantly, number two, when the board sees these, we only see these when there's an actual violation of law. This is fighting, this is injury, this is terrorist threats. The day-to-day, well, the suspensions need to be handled on site. I think we need to create a safe place for the kids to go. We've adopted multi-tiered systems of support. We've added counselors. If we have to cut budgets, they're going to have to go. The idea being that if we can manage it on site in a way that honors what's happening with the student while keeping everyone safe and not disrupting classrooms, then I'm all for that. And that's what the district is doing currently.
Right. Next question. What is your opinion on community schools?
You know, we have one. Actually, we just started one, which is different, of course, than a charter school. Okay, a community school it takes a village, and I'm excited to see how that evolves, especially in serving our students that have been marginalized and our families that have been marginalized. So I'm all for them.
Okay, awesome.
I'm not for charter schools, though, just so you know. Don't believe in that. Okay, so sorry, but
Do you support teaching critical thinking and deconstructing disinformation? If so, why? If not, why not?
absolutely. Has anyone looked at AI lately? Yes, absolutely. And I guess what the problem is developing curriculum that supports that. Oh, good question, Monica. I do not. I think that it is. I want to say it's David Weir, but I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. But anyway, I'm sorry, I digressed. Going back to critical thinking and deconstruction of AI. Yeah, I think we need to be forward. We need to start looking at those at resources to deal with the effect of AI and misinformation.
All right. Thank you very much. The
Okay,
5
thank
minutes
you.
flew by.
Okay,
So,
be well, you guys.
Thank you again, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us this evening.
Thanks.
And enjoy your trip to Europe.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and we can let our guests back out, I imagine. And next up is Anna Patero.
Oh, do you want me to let there's only
Yes.
2 left in the waiting room.
We can
Okay.
set them free.
There we go.
All right. And let me spotlight. And good evening. As
Good
I've been telling
evening.
your other candidates, I will hit the timer once you begin speaking. You will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. Then we will proceed to questions. So
Thank you
whenever
very
you're
much,
ready.
and thank you for the opportunity to be before you for a second time for an endorsement. You endorsed me in 2020, and I really appreciated that. And since your endorsement, being on the school board, I have fought really hard for our students, particularly in the area of equity. What I have found in our school board, and this is what I have been fighting for, is our students are being trained to be stormtroopers. Our students are not robots. We have superfluous standardized tests that our students are subjected to, and I've been fighting against that for the last 4 years, and I will continue to do that in the next 4 years. Another thing that I would like to ask for in terms of your endorsement is to ensure that our bond Measure S is spent effectively and not on pet projects. Measure J, our community voted for $249 million in 2016. I don't feel that bond was spent effectively. In fact, according to the own data from the FSUSD, 3 classrooms, an additional 3 classrooms were spent out of that $249 million. We have another $249 million to be spent in this bond, and I want to ensure that PLAs are included in that. We have some members of our board currently, and I think this is why we need to change the board and to make sure that we have a board that is union supportive. And that is to ensure that Measure S gets spent, and then we have PLAs for that, because now some of the projects are being spent are taken away from that measure. The third thing is I want to make sure, as you've heard, we need to cut $20 million. There is way too much bureaucracy in our district. So what I'd like to do is move funding away from superfluous projects, particularly intervention projects, and redirect those to projects that will help students succeed. And that would be music, art, theater, sport, speech, and debate. Learning should not be a chore. Students should enjoy learning because they are our future. And that's what I'd like to fight for in the next 4 years.
All right. Thank you very much. We will jump into the questions. And the first one looks like it's hopefully a bit of a softball for you. Why did you vote against the censures against trustees Patero and Flynn?
I believe that our constituents, members of the community, vote for their representatives. And when I look at censures, particularly censures on this board, they were political and they were personal.
And I'll give you an example. When I was censured the first time, I was censured by a board. And then after I was censured, they came up with a policy to censure. And so it was vitriol from the very, very beginning. It was personal, it was not professional at all. And so you can look at the censure documents, as Ms. Tilly had pointed out earlier. As for Mr. Flynn, it was completely, again, unprofessional. Mr. Flynn made comments on his board, on his website before he was on the board. When he got on the board censured him for actions that he did that was completely out of the board's jurisdiction. So that was political and that was personal and unnecessary. And so that's what I was completely against, the censure for Mr. Flynn and the censures, both censures against me.
Okay. How would you implement teaching more about climate change in the schools?
Oh boy. So a friend of mine by the name of Nancy Dunn, who is actually a board member at the Vacaville Unified School District, her sister is an author and she wrote a book on climate change that would be really helpful for children in the 5th grade. I actually took that book to there's like text in there and there's exercise on climate change. I took that to the district textbook office for them to see if they could implement that. In addition to that, what I've done 6 years ago, I helped create the Adopt a Street program here in our community, because we can help build our community and help with climate change. You know, Mother Teresa said we can't all do great things, but we can all do small things greatly. So I started that program. I've adopted a street by each of our high schools. Many of our schools in our district have also adopted streets. And when I do it by the schools, I incorporate and ask the football teams and athletic teams to come and support. And that's how I'm able to help and educate young people about climate change in their own communities in a way that matters to them, and they can see it with their own eyes and see the difference. Because every little thing, every little bit makes a difference, yeah?
Okay, what do you mean by superfluous intervention programs? You say you want to get rid of those.
I attended, so we think about it, right? We live in a society where education was created by a certain group of people for only a certain group of people. And then everybody else has to meet that standard. Well, our students' body doesn't look like that anymore. I attended one of the committee meetings and they were talking to each of the school districts in our county, talked about how many intervention programs they had. Do you know that Fairfield-Sassoon had more intervention programs than any other district in our county? To me, those intervention programs don't help our students improve. They're being tested to death. We spend $200,000 a year on map testing that have no influence, no impact on our students' final grade. And the data is skewed because I've talked to 11th graders. They have the 11th graders, they blow off the test, so that data cannot be accurate. We're testing children at 2nd grade in front of a computer without much instruction, right? How are students going to understand the material that's not even being taught to them, but they're thrown in front of a computer? So they already have test anxiety. Students don't know the material. And of course, the data is going to be skewed. We're testing to one standard. We're not testing our students who are multilingual, bilingual, trilingual, and quadrilingual in our society, in our schools. And we need to change that. We need to flip the script and look at our students and focus. If we focus on sports, if we focus on music, if we focus on theater, on art and speech and debate, those are critical thinking skills. Children are talking through theater, right? They're reading, they're doing math through music. All of that will wind up you'll see the results in the classroom. Instead, we're beating the students down to the point that when they graduate from high school, just get me the heck out of here. And then they fall to the cracks between high school and college. And that's our fault. And that's the fault of the K through 12. In addition to that, look at all the money we're spending. And this is something even more, right? We're teaching imperial math. Our students are graduating from high school learning the metric system. There's a big disconnect, a lot of waste of money there. So we need to focus and really change and flip our education system so that it's conducive to the learning style of our children.
All right. Next question. Do you support menstrual health in Fairfield-Sassoon schools? What do you think of the board's vote against it?
I completely support menstrual health. In fact, menstrual health is a bill that was brought to our board by our own student at FSUSD. It was supported by Lori Wilson, our assembly member. It passed the assembly. It has now passed the Senate, and our board would not support it. I was so disappointed that 3 women on our board did not support a bill that was brought to the board by a young woman in our school district to support menstrual health. It is fundamentally important, and they didn't vote for it.
Thank you. Appreciate you. 5 minutes flew by very quickly.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you taking the time to respond to our questionnaire and participate in our process. And with that, we will jump to our next contestant, Bonnie Hamilton. I believe she's present.
I am, Chair.
All right. Good. Now we've got you spotlighted. As I've been saying to everyone, once you start speaking, I'll hit the timer. You'll have 2 minutes for your opening statement, followed by questions. So whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much. And hello, everyone. Most of you know me as a pediatrician, mom, and community volunteer. I've had decades of expertise and practical experience caring for actually tens of thousands of local kids and families. I ran for this office in 2020 during the pandemic and was only 3 votes short out of 36,000 ballots cast for this seat. I was endorsed by the Central Committee at that time. Education has been my pathway to opportunity. It wasn't easy growing up, losing my father at a young age and witnessing the challenges my mother faced raising me and my 4 brothers on her own. In high school, I attended vocational technical school in commercial art. I then worked to put myself through college and chose to pursue a career in medicine. My daughter attended Fairfield Public Schools and struggled due to her hearing disability. We worked closely with teachers, school administration, and the County Office of Education. She ultimately graduated with honors from Armio High School and is now a research scientist in San Diego. I have firsthand experience as a parent in advocating for appropriate educational services, and in turn have been able to help many parents advocate effectively for their children. Enriching the lives of our children and youth will improve our community and help create a thriving future for all. I found opportunity through my own education, and I'd like to help ensure that every child has full access to their education and can reach their highest potential. I'll work to make life better for kids, parents, and teachers to ensure our schools are places where all students can find opportunity, purpose, and success, whether they're college-bound or learn a valuable trade. Thank you for your time and attention, and I'd be honored to have your endorsement, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you. I like how it ignores when I hit the stop button.
I know, I love that. You know, it's like waking everybody up.
All right. We will get with the begin our questions momentarily. I just want to remind everyone that to put your questions in chat. However, it is the prerogative of members to be asking questions of our candidates. Our guests, please do not be submitting questions. They will not be asked. And with that, first question, what climate change measures would you like to implement as a member of the Board of Education?
Well, the first thing is I really believe that, you know, we have an underfunded educational system here in Solano County, mostly, I think, due to our property tax structure. So the first thing I would love to see happen is putting solar, making solar shade structures at all our schools. And then the schools can save on their electric bill. They can get solar there's a lot of incentives, as well as you can do it without, you know, on loans and that sort of thing, and pay itself back quickly. It could also allow the schools to be energy independent and resilient, and the schools at some point could potentially share energy with their communities and be hubs during, climate disasters and any kind of PG&E shutoffs. The schools could be part of the community in that regard. So that would be number one. Number two is to locally source food, to bring healthier food in, less waste, reduce waste, and also to really encourage more school gardens and that sort of thing. So there's many things we can do around climate. I also think that it would be very important to have some sort of earth stewardship program with the schools and with youth and young people, and to teach people how important it is to value our beautiful planet, and I think that would be an incredible thing to have more of a program around that.
Next question. How do you feel about charter schools?
Well, I mean, I think money needs to go to public education. That's where the kids are. That's where the money is needed. I mean, I think that there might be a place. I mean, if for dependent charter schools, I mean, we have them in the county already, and they're very well supported. They're overseen by our districts, and they're public schools. But as long as it's public and and it's open to all students, it's not just for a select few students. The other thing I guess charter schools might be useful for is if it's a very specific area like music or theater or something like that. But again, I support public education. I went to public schools. My daughter went to public schools, and that's where we need to put our resources.
What are the most pressing issues facing your district?
Well, I mean, underfunding is definitely a major issue. I mean, I do believe there is an educational gap, depending on where you live. I really truly believe in the whole child, to looking at, what the challenges are at home. Kids can't learn if they're hungry, if they're stressed, if they don't feel safe. How can a kid come to school or they don't have access to menstrual products? How can kids go to school and learn fully unless we're attending to those basic issues. So those are big things. And again, I think that there's disparity throughout the county in how those things are addressed. So I'd really love to see more of a community type of approach to schools. So they're more than just, reading, writing, and arithmetic. We're really addressing, food scarcity or insecurity and menstrual poverty and other factors that and having everyone feel safe, or having a safe haven from maybe their own lives.
Okay, please discuss how best to ensure that every child receives the best educational experience regardless of their zip code.
Well, it's what I just said, it's really looking at where we are lacking and how we can fill those gaps. Looking from, school district to school district, and seeing the challenges, because we have a incredibly diverse county. And all the way from Dixon to Benicia to Vallejo and then Sassoon, we just have an incredibly diverse county. We need to take that into account, and where the different schools, it's not a cookie cutter approach in our district, that's for sure.
All right. And your timing was perfect on that. So thank you very much for participating in our process this evening, and indeed for making the decision to run for office again after your close defeat.
After I got over my PTSD from last time. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Up next, running for the Vacaville School District, we have Audra Orr. I saw her in the room earlier, so if we can pull her up and highlight her. Welcome. As I've been saying with our other candidates, you'll have 2 minutes for an opening statement, and your time will start once you begin speaking.
Good evening, and thank you. I'm Audra Orr, and I'm a candidate for Vacaville Unified School District Trustee, Area 4. I was born and raised in small town Kentucky and a blue collar union family. I'm happy to say that I just received the Napa Solano CLC endorsement. I truly am a coal miner's daughter, and I'm the first in my family to go to college. I had a grandfather who didn't go to school a day in his life because he was sent to work at the age of 7 to support his family. I went to public school all 12 years and to state university because I knew education was my path to a successful future. I've always been drawn to careers in service, so I became an Air Force officer right after I got my bachelor's degree. I retired from the Air Force Reserves as a lieutenant colonel. I also retired with over 20 years of law enforcement between Vacaville Police Department and California Department of Justice. In between active duty Air Force and Vacaville PD, I was a paraprofessional in Kentucky for a year. And when I'm elected, my 4 priorities will be to increase community and parent involvement in the schools, which works hand in hand with my second priority of better preparing our high school students for life after graduation by increasing our CTE options, especially in the traditional trades areas like welding. Third, I'll work to improve the safety and mental health environment of our classrooms. And fourth, I'll also focus on recruitment and retention of quality staff. Now, what do I bring to the table? The diversity of my experience. Through various jobs and positions that I've held, I've done a lot of different things, like worked with multi-million-dollar budgets, been on the union board, and worked with numerous community groups as a volunteer. I have a master's degree and lots of experience in leadership, policy development, adult instruction and curriculum development, team building, and creative problem solving. I'm excited about this opportunity to give back to my community, and I hope to have your support in doing so.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much. Moving on to our questions. I'm assuming this one is for you. How do you feel about the incumbents' vote to expand charter schools?
I feel like the Board of Education, the school board is supposed to be looking out for what's best for all of the children in the district. I completely understand a parent trying to do what's best for their child, and I totally get that. But the school board should be doing what's best for all children, and that means trying to keep what limited funding we have and putting it toward a quality education for all of the children. So I'm not in favor of taking any of that money and putting it into an independent charter schools that have no oversight and take money away from our other kids.
All right. What would you, how do you feel about teaching critical thinking and combating disinformation in schools? If you support the teaching of critical thinking, why? If not, why not?
Oh, I think teaching critical thinking skills is absolutely imperative for our kids. I grew up in Kentucky, and you're taught to believe everything that your parents believe. And we see how that's affecting what's going on in our society and in our country right now when people believe things just because they're told to believe it. I had to get out of that environment and see the world and learn to evaluate things for myself. My children went to a school that taught critical thinking, and I found it absolutely amazing how my children can formulate theories and thoughts and can articulate that to me. And it's just been amazing to me to watch their development and how they can formulate an argument with me, and it keeps me on my toes.
Okay, what would you do to educate students about climate change?
It starts with looking at our curriculum and incorporating, not just handing them a book or doing it by lecture. They have to get hands-on. The best way to learn something is to experience it, to get your hands on, touch it. I'm not going to say taste it, but feel it and to do it. And when they do that, they get excited about it and they understand it. And they see it and it means something to them. So we have to get them out of the classroom and out into the environment and seeing what it means and how important it is. So yes, they need to be in the classroom to learn and to see the science of it, but they also need to get outside and see the beauty of our environment and to see how important it is.
Okay. Have you been endorsed by the employee groups, such as teachers and classified employees in the Vacaville School District?
Yes, I've been endorsed by the Vacaville Teachers Association, by SEIU 1021, and most recently by the Napa Solano CLC.
How would you work in partnership with those groups and others to ensure the best educational outcomes for all students?
I plan to meet with them frequently to hear their concerns and their ideas, because they're there every day seeing what's going on with the schools, talking to the students, working with the students. And I've always learned through my experience in the Air Force that the best way to get the job done and to get the best ideas is to talk to the experts, because they're the ones who do the job and know the best way to do it. And I've always believed in forming groups of experts to develop your ideas and to come up with your solutions. And I also intend to do a lot of site visits and see what's going on for myself. So I want to work with them hand in hand to get their ideas and try to implement those.
Okay, next question. Would you support a pride proclamation at the Vacaville Unified School District?
I would. I know the board's job is to develop policy, and that is something that because our youth, they're part of our youth. We have a good percentage.
If you wish to finish your sentence, feel free.
Okay, thank you. I'm a rule follower. What can I say? Yes, I believe in supporting our students and valuing our students for who they are and where they are, and that means all of our students.
All right, thank you very much. As I said with our other candidates, thank you for taking the time to participate in our process and join us this evening. And
thank you.
Wish you the best of luck in the process. Coming up next, from Vacaville USD Area 7, Michael Kitsis.
Michael, can you turn on your camera so we can spotlight you for everyone? There you go.
Absolutely. A little slow on the draw.
All right. Welcome, and thank you for joining us. As I've said with our other candidates, you'll have 2 minutes for an opening statement. I'll start the timer once you begin speaking, so whenever you're ready.
So I have served 5 terms on the Vacaville Unified School District Board. This will be, if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, my 6th term. And that's kind of how I do things. I've worked for Solano County Mental Health for 26 years, and I'm the manager of all the children's outpatient mental health clinics, including the one in Vacaville, and also in Fairfield and Vallejo. I've dedicated my adult life to serving kids, and it's very important to me. I've been 20 plus years on the school board. And when I thought about, was I going to run again? The answer was there are a lot of new or newer board members, couple less than 2 years. And then, so I thought it was important for me to stay on. And as kind of like the historian of the board, the one that's been around for good times and bad times, to kind of help guide how things go. Basically, I think the most important things coming up are passing the facilities bond. We have an impaction problem in our elementary schools, And we're going to build a middle school when we pass our bond. And what that's going to do is free up a lot of space in the elementary schools. I'm looking at the time, 21 seconds. Okay. Second thing I would like to do is really redouble my efforts to listen to students, staff, and the community. We got hit pretty hard during COVID, a lot harder than any other district. You know, Vacaville's a funny place. It has about half progressive and half Trumpy kind of people. And it was pretty. Gotcha.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully one of the questions will allow you to wrap that thought up. First question I see is, where do you stand on the implementation of ethnic studies? Do you back the liberated model or the state mandated curriculum? Please pay careful attention to the subject of anti-Semitism and transparency in curriculum selection.
Well, I think ethnic studies is really important. It's important for kids to sit around with people that look different from themselves and learn and try to get a sense of the differences in each other. And I think that's the way we kind of learn to get along. It's been really it hasn't been that challenging a process actually in VUSD. We implemented our curriculum 2 years ago, and my son went through it. We had a great teacher. Her name was Laura. Can't remember the last name right this moment. She's now an assistant principal, and I'm truthfully, I know that there was an initial issue, and we talked about it at the board. Allison Bronning came to the board, and she actually gave a very spirited defense of not going with the first version, but the second version. And I don't know if there's a third version, so you'll have to give me a little grace on that one. But Laura Roberts, thank you, whoever put that in there. It's very important to talk about all folks that are experiencing prejudice, and you know, anti-Semitism is actually the largest in hate crimes. Anti-Semitism has been the highest crime in the last year.
Okay. Next question. Someone answered my plea. Could you kindly finish your statement of how COVID affected the Vacaville School District?
Yeah. So, you know, I and we as a majority anyway, decided to follow CDPH and the rules of the governor and CDPH. And when we did that, we got a lot of flack from a very small but very vocal minority. They came to the board meetings, they screamed at us. In fact, they made an Instagram site called Vacaville Elected, and they basically trashed me and Kelly Welsh and Shelley Daly, who was on the board at that point, anybody that was really for implementing the policies that at that time we were very clear about had a good chance of saving people's lives. And I think it was especially important because, you know, people have lots of ideas about the kids and how they deal with it, but we have teachers and classified staff that are all ages and have all various levels of non-disabilities to disabilities. And it was just wrong to expose them to COVID when we didn't know any of that at the time. And basically in the beginning, people were dying. So I was very vocal and I took a lot of crap, but you know, that's what you're there for. You're there for making hard decisions in service of the kids and the staff and the community.
Next question. Would you support a yearly LGBTQ proclamation and flying the inclusive LGBTQIA pride flag, if not at all schools, at the VUSD offices?
Yes.
Okay. Have you been endorsed by both of the VUSD employee groups? And how would you work in partnership with those groups to ensure the best possible educational outcomes for all students?
Sure. I've been endorsed by the Vacaville Teachers Association, and as have always been, SEIU did for Audra, they did I guess a pre-endorsement. It was an important race for them. I don't think anybody knew who was coming into our race. So basically, there haven't been interviews for my race, and I've been in touch with the president, Barbara Hamilton, and she was very much like, "Yes, we'd like to get you in. I support you." So I don't know what's going to happen. I think she's waiting to hear from Lily Starling, who is the SEIU president of one of the unions, and I know she's the head of the CLC at this point. I have been endorsed by the CLC. I think it's super important to work with employee groups. I work with Corey, I work with Brenda, and we've known each other for 20 years. So I very much want people to come to me and tell me the truth. I'm not interested in sugarcoating. I've been here long enough. In the beginning, in 2003, I was very sensitive to things. Now, I just want to have a good conversation and get the right thing to happen for everyone.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And again, thank you for your long and dedicated service to the children of Vacaville.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we have for running for re-election as Mayor of Benicia, Steve Young. So if we could call him up and highlight him. All right. As I've been saying to all of our candidates, you'll have 2 minutes for your opening statement, and I'll start the timer once you begin speaking.
All right, thank you, Don. I am running for re-election as mayor of Benicia. I think we have accomplished quite a bit in the last 4 years. We have a lot more yet to do. There is some real fiscal challenges that the city continues to face. We're a full-service city offering virtually any kind of municipal service you can imagine, and we have a situation where over 40% of our houses have not turned over since 1978. So those 40% of the houses are paying property taxes, which is our single biggest source of revenue, at 1978 and 1980 rates. And we are providing services at 2024 dollars and costs. So something is not working, obviously. And so one of the things that I am campaigning on is the passage of two different revenue measures. One is a citizens initiative, Measure F, that qualified for the ballot and would create a special fund separate from the general fund for fixing Benicia's roads, which are really bad. They are just slightly better than Vallejo's, but that makes us the two worst cities in the county in terms of road conditions. And then the other one is a real property transfer tax, Measure H, which would affect about 250 to 300 real estate sales per year, and it's tiered so that it's a rate of $4 per thousand for houses under $2 million, $6 per thousand over $2 million, and $8 per thousand over $10 million. And that was put in the event that Valero decides to sell. There's no indication that they're going to, but they are certainly making it clear that they're not happy with the direction California is going in. So I'll leave it there. I'm campaigning on those measures more than my own reelection.
All right. Thank you. First question I have for you is, what approach will you urge the council to take if the proposed ballot measures fail in November?
Well, that's going to put us back to where we were prior to March and the passage of measures A and B. And at that time, the city went through a fairly exhaustive process asking the community, what are your priorities? Where would you cut if we had to cut? And it was made pretty clear that their top priority was public safety. And then after that, it was a sort of mishmash of parks and the pool and the library and various community events. but if the road measure fails, for example, we can't just let our roads turn to dirt, which is sort of the direction they're going. So we're going to be in a situation where we're going to have to find $6 million a year to actually start fixing our roads. And that would be a significant hit because half of our general fund budget is for police and fire. And if you're going to hold them sacrosanct and not hit that side of the equation, and you take out all the utility workers who handle water and wastewater, then you're left with a relatively small group of departments, parks, libraries, and internal departments like finance and IT and HR, where it's going to be, you're going to have to devastate those programs and those departments in order to make up that much money. And so it's going to be a bad situation. It's something that the council, hopefully we never get to. That's why the entire council is supporting these measures. It's why labor is supporting these measures. And hopefully we're going to get public safety and realtors and others on board with this. But it will not be pretty, Don. I'll be honest with you. If these measures fail, we are going to be in a scramble mode that nobody's going to really enjoy.
Okay. Next question I have is, despite the recent efforts at changing zoning, many people have commented that there's a lack of affordable housing actually available in the city of Benicia. What steps can you and the council do to help create that availability?
Well, as you know, cities cannot produce housing. We can zone for it. And we have been doing that. We have zoned for more than about 1,100 units. But of course, it's the private sector that has to actually produce the units. We can zone for it, but to make it affordable, you're going to have to come up with some kind of a subsidy. And one of the challenges Benicia faces is that we're a relatively well-off community, and a lot of the subsidized financing is tax credits go out on a scale that is focused more on lower income communities. And so we don't really qualify for that type of outside secondary financing. What we're going to have to do instead is look at city-owned land that we would look to have built on. And in that case, the value of the land would become the subsidy. Right now, the council has approved going through the Surplus Land Act process for 3 sites that the city owns, going out to affordable housing developers and asking them about their interest in these particular sites and building on them. And we would presumably just give that land away, excuse me, give the land away as our contribution to try to make this thing successful. One of the sites is where the senior center in Benicia is now. It needs to be rebuilt. So what we're looking for is somebody who would actually rebuild the senior center with a senior housing tower on top of it. And if we give them the land and the zoning allows for a sufficient number of units, we're hopeful that those combinations of things will allow for something actually to happen.
All right. I am not seeing any other questions popping up in chat. So I guess you get to escape with 35 seconds to spare. And
well, all I'll say is that I'm the only Democrat running for mayor in Benicia. There is a last minute entry by a Republican, but I'm not sure how serious a campaign he's going to be running, but I'm taking it seriously. And like I said, I'm going to be running not so much for myself, but for trying to pass these measures.
All right.
And
thank you so much.
If you got political capital, spend it, and I intend to spend it.
Okay. Thank you for joining us this evening. We
All right.
appreciate your service to the city of Benicia. And next up, we have running for Fairfield City Council, Manveer Sandhu. I believe I saw him earlier in the room, so if we can.
Hey, hey Don, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, let's spotlight him. Okay. Where is he, Tom? I'm not seeing him spotlighted yet.
You can hear me okay though, right?
Can hear you, but we do need to spotlight you. Okay.
I think I see me now.
All right. As I've been saying with all of our candidates tonight, you'll have 2 minutes for an opening statement. I'll start the timer once you begin speaking. So whenever you're ready.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Manveer, and I'm running for Fairfield City Council, District 6. My path to politics really began with the Solano County Central Committee and the Democratic Party in the county. Back in 2016, when I first volunteered on Hillary Clinton's campaign for president and John Garamendi's campaign for re-election to Congress, is really when I started to cut my teeth in this game. When I learned how to phone bank, learned how to canvass, and when I got to community college, I just really dove headfirst into student government, and that's when I got elected to the College Board of Trustees at Napa Valley College. Following that, I did run for City Council in 2018, got about 10,000 votes, and after that campaign, I ended up joining the Air Force Reserve at Travis Air Force Base. Once I came back, I had the pleasure of running for, and I have been serving now for the past 4 years on the Travis School Board, which is the school district I went to school at. And one of my main things was financial literacy. And I'm pleased to say that we now have a class in that, and that our students at Travis are learning that important life skill. The reason I'm running for City Council now is because some of the issues that I've been facing on the school board at the school district, I can't solve there. One of them is, for example, the completion of Markley Lane, a crucial road to improve the safety of that area. The other ones are when it comes to job opportunities and economic development. Do we have industries for our graduates to work in? And the answer is no, we don't have enough of it. Some of our most major employers in the city of Fairfield are public sector entities. You can't grow an economy like that. And given our influx of people, we really need to focus and double down on bringing scalable industries to Solano County. So for me, the top two reasons of why I'm running for City Council in Fairfield is one is on economic development, on improving community safety, and then the last piece is on ensuring that we do have affordable housing. And for those three reasons, I'm running for City Council in the city of Fairfield. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. First question I have for you is that in your questionnaire, you spoke a lot about bringing in both dining and shopping opportunities, in other words, restaurants and retail. Those are historically fairly low-wage positions. So how does that create, what would you do to create living wage jobs in your district and in the city of Fairfield? And
Yeah, great question.
1 second.
How much time do I have for this, Don?
I'm going to restart you with 5 minutes. I didn't realize the timer had started, so my apologies. Let's start again. There you go.
Thank you. So, yes, that is true. The city of Fairfield is facing a financial deficit. You need to solve that through a multitude of ways. One is to increase shopping and spend in the district. Right now in District 6, for example, there's very little food and shopping. The reason I know that is one, I experienced it when I was at Vanden High School. I would have to go get lunch or food after band practice, after drumline. I'd have to drive to the other side of town to get something to eat. There is a lot of empty land in District 6 that has not been developed. That's why one of my priorities is infill development. So one of those things is having places to spend your tax dollars without having to leave and go to Vacaville. And so hence that's one priority. But when you're talking about ensuring that you have jobs that can pay a living wage, one of them is there's three sectors that I think we need to focus on. One is the aerospace and defense sector. Given our proximity to Travis Air Force Base, I don't think we've done enough to take advantage of that. The current economic impact of Travis Air Force Base on our region is about 2.4 billion. When you talk about industries that can serve that, we do have some services industries that serve the base, but we haven't really done a good job in building a manufacturing base in this region. Vacaville has. I think they're really doing a really good job leading the way when it comes to biotech manufacturing. I think we need to double down on that and go broader when it comes to manufacturing. One, the idea of onshoring is really big right now. How do you build a more domestic-based supply chain? I think we need to work with Congressman Garamendi on his priority of ensuring that I-80 becomes a manufacturing corridor. So one is the aerospace and defense sector. The other one is really to partner with Vacaville more and really support the efforts that they're doing when it comes to the biotech sector and become more competitive, not just at a city or regional level, but really, well, not just at a city level, but at a regional level, so we can compete with hubs like San Diego, like South San Francisco, and also internationally as well, because California is a powerhouse in the global economy, and I don't think we've done enough to really capture what we're doing locally and just broaden that out. And the last sector that I want to talk about is building a more robust tech sector when it comes to supporting our agricultural ecosystem. One of Solano County's largest exports is agriculture. I think we're well poised to develop a technology sector to support that. And the goal really here isn't to disrupt the quality of life of our region, but really to support it and to double down what's already working. So one is on the defense sector, because we've been strong supporters of Travis Air Force Base ever since it's been created. The other one is our region is getting a lot better at the biotech space. And lastly, it'll be on ag. And I think if we focus on those, you can help bring better paying jobs and ensure people can work closer to home.
Okay. Next question. You noted in your questionnaire that you endorsed Cap Moy in 2022. Would you endorse a Republican for local office if there was an endorsed Democrat in the race?
I would endorse a Democrat if they're in the race. Absolutely.
Okay. Next question. Do you support more resolutions on the conflict between Israel and Hamas at the city council level and more items on foreign policy? Or should Fairfield be more focused on Fairfield?
We have some real issues at the city of Fairfield. When you're talking about homelessness, you're talking about housing, you're talking about jobs. These are things in the control of a city council. I think it's important for a city to remain in its lane, and its lane of government is local government. Now, I think it's more appropriate for the state of California or the national government to take policies like that. I just don't think that's in my jurisdiction, really, to be honest with you. That's like when I was running for school board, people are asking me about city council issues, or when I'm running for city council, folks are like, what are you gonna do about the schools? That's not my jurisdiction. We have a separate elected body for that. And I think we need to ensure that we, as elected officials, as government representatives, do a better job of communicating the different layers of government and what's most appropriate where, because it's only when people understand where to take their problems can things get done in a better way. Yeah.
Okay. One of the persistent issues that has been mentioned in Solano County in recent years is the lack of affordable housing. What would you do to promote the construction or general availability of truly affordable housing within the city of Fairfield?
We need to ensure that we are zoning for more property to be in the townhome, at the townhome space or in the condo space. Overall, trying to really get developers to build smaller. I understand the reason why they go bigger. It's cheaper per cost, it's cheaper per square foot. But the only way the price is going to come down is if they're building stuff that costs less money. And the only way to do that is to build the type of housing that costs less. So one is going to be in the condo space. The other one's going to be building more townhomes. And if you do that, I think the price will come down overall. Those are the two main things.
All right, and you're coming in right at 5 minutes. So thank you for taking the time to fill out our questionnaire and join us this evening. Thank you for your service on the Travis School Board and your participation in this year's election.
Thank you.
All right, our next contestant is Michael Silva. So if we can spotlight him, he was present, and I think he still is. So,
hey Don, how you doing?
Good. As we get you on screen. All right, Michael. As I've been telling all of our candidates, you'll have 2 minutes for an opening statement. I will start the timer once you begin speaking. So whenever you're ready.
Thank you. So thank you all for coming in and your participation in democracy. I think we all know that representation absolutely matters. For the past 4 years, I've served very honorably, not just the residents of District 3, but all of Vacaville. I do find it interesting at times when people say you're really good to represent your district, and they emphasize your, and I always want to ask them, what do you mean by that? But it doesn't really matter. Because I think my connection throughout my community and putting myself out there has really helped build bridges where there weren't any strong relationships or really some opposition in some case 4 years ago. So I think that speaks to the leadership that I've brought to the city of Vacaville and frankly to our region in different aspects. My full-time job, I'm a professor of biotechnology. I love developing the skill sets of our future workforce to get good paying jobs. As a city council member, I've been a strong advocate to make sure that we continue to invest in different workforce development programs. So that way people earn good wages. With those good wages, they can start being able to access affordable housing that includes ownership. And overall, that everybody has access to a good quality life, no matter what socioeconomic demographic they fit into, no matter what country, frankly, that they come from. If they're coming here to work for a better life and they need some help, I've been in I believe that we're in a position to actually make a difference. So one of the key things that drives me are my kids, and not just my kids, but the world that they grow up in and the other kids that are going to be our future leaders. So this picture that's behind me right there has actually been inspired by youth. As you see, additional youth coming back to actually plant a community garden that's going to help foster additional butterflies to help inspire and help sustain our community. And that's what I'm here to do.
Right. Your timing was perfect. All set. And jumping into our questions. First question. Vacaville Public Safety came after you last election with a highly negative campaign because of negative stereotypes and misconceptions on their part. Excuse me, how is your relationship with them today?
Don't die on me, Don. They endorsed me. so I think that's their VPOA, they endorsed me, notified I think last week. So but aside from that, the goal was never to get endorsement. The goal was never to get political points. The fact of the matter is, and I think what's really key for everybody to realize is that 4 years ago there was a lot going on, and I think at some point, my goal was never to come in, especially when I got elected, and I told everybody that I could meet with, my goal is not to tell you how to do your job. I trust you that you are professionals, and I trust that you committed your life to this career for a reason, and that reason is to help keep people safe, and also to make sure that you can go home safe. And I would also bring in perspectives from the community. They absolutely want to be safe too. People do not dislike cops as much as people perceive that to be the case. And I think a lot of that can just be addressed just by conversations. And so one of the things that I committed to was just number one, I rode along with every single shift. So we have 6 different shifts on Vacaville Police Department. I rode along with every single one of them. I was invited to different trainings, really fun trainings, actually. I'm a little bit of a adrenaline junkie on the side. And so they, and all of that was absolutely enlightening. So it was some of the most memorable experiences that I've had as a city council member. And what I really see being, what I really am inspired and hopeful for is that I'm really proud. I need everybody to know this. I'm extremely proud of our Vacaville Police Department because they rose up to different challenges and concerns in our community. Their level of community engagement is by far more than I've ever seen in my entire life combined. And and I would just share different stories. For example, hey, when I'm walking with my family, I don't get a howdy do wave. And I found out they actually initiated some type of policy or recommendation. Hey, when you drive around, just maybe drive down with the window so you can wave at folks. Because I was like, every time I see them drive by, they look at me like I'm a suspect. And I start thinking, well, maybe because I do look like the suspect, as a joke or whatnot. Because I unfortunately know sometimes that might be true. I didn't do anything wrong though. But I think a lot of times it's important for us as leaders to understand where people are coming from, look at things from other people's shoes. And I'm not an officer. I'll never really know what their experiences are. But I think the more that we listen and understand and can be empathetic to people's positions, that's how we build trust. And that's how we strengthen our community. And that's how we provide the best opportunity in the future for our youth.
Thank you for that. I'm taking over for Don since he is having some issues.
Oh, no.
And I'm going to ask the question that I actually put in to chat because that's the only question I see besides the last one from Steve Quinlan. So the city of Vacaville recently came under fire because of your mayor's failure to sign a pride proclamation. And I was wondering, my question to you is, would you move to change that policy to put the power of proclamation into the hands of the council as a vote instead of the hands of one mayor or one person?
Yeah, it's a great question. Frankly, we should have already done that. So to answer your question, yes, or something similar. I think you know, if the argument for one individual who's been elected by our people is that, you know, whatever the argument would be to not support it, when you have the rest of the council that's in support of it, you know, obviously, you know, it's there's not, it's we have, all of us are one equal vote. There's 7 of us, right? And so, even though, you know, our mayor isn't a strong mayor city, or sorry, our city is not a strong mayor city. He's one individual. He is elected at large, but each council represents a different demographics throughout the city. And absolutely, that's something that we need to consider.
All right, thank you. Don?
And real quick,
go ahead.
I just do want to apologize. There was a lot of hateful things said for 6 months. And I know that's only 6 months, a snapshot of people's lives. And I just want to apologize to all the folks that were negatively impacted by a lot of the negative comments that are out there. And you know, I really wish we could do more, but I just need everybody to know that we love you and we support you. Family members that you know are in those positions, just know that we are absolutely there for you guys. So please don't feel alone.
Thank you for that. Okay, I believe that is your time, and I don't see any other questions. Don, do you want to take it back over?
Yeah, I think I can talk again. So thank you, Mike. I appreciate your service to the city of Vacaville and of course with us here on the search committee and for participating in our process this evening.
No, thank you all.
I apologize, everyone.
No, stay healthy, man.
That coughing fit. Next up, we should have Jason Roberts. And okay, Jason, as I've been telling all of our candidates, you'll have 2 minutes for an opening statement. I will start the timer once you begin speaking.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jason Roberts. I'm running for re-election for Vacaville City Council District 5. A little bit of my background is in September, I'll be at 18 years in military service. Been on city council the last 4 years, since 2020. And my current full-time profession is I'm Yolo County's public health emergency manager, where I help manage hospitals, emergency preparedness plans. I coordinate with EMS services, redundant communication. So if technology goes down, how do we communicate with the hospitals and that type of stuff for various emergencies, from pandemics to wildfires to floods, whatever you can think of. Like recently, the CrowdStrike incident where a lot of people's laptops and computer systems went down. We had to step in and help out with that as well. So the last 4 years in council has been very interesting, stepping in during the pandemic. Starting off virtual, a lot of interesting things about reopening the city and businesses, to the recent issues with the pride flag and proclamation, as well as a dog incident with the PD. So we've got a lot of interesting experiences on council. Currently running for re-election because there's a lot of things I still want to do. The speed of government is not quick. It took 3 years to get our net zero energy program going. We're still working on inclusionary zoning, and there's still a lot of things within the city that I'd like to see accomplished before I pass the baton off for that. This campaign is probably going to be a more difficult one than I ran in the past due to my opponent's backings and finances. And so I'm looking forward to hopefully get this body's endorsement like I have in the past. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. And we will jump into the questions. Our first question is, the city of Vacaville has recently come under fire because of your mayor's failure to sign a pride proclamation. Would you move to change policy to put the proclamation in the hands of the council as a whole?
Yes, that was actually my original intention when I agendized it back for the flag policy. I was told that there was going to be some changes in how proclamations were going to be addressed. I gave the mayor and the city the benefit of doubt that they would address those changes, and unfortunately that did not change this time. So I would like to see it go to the entire council to vote on. Follow the council member signatures who support it and want to go on it. If you don't want to sign it, don't sign it. So yes, I do support it going to the council for a vote.
What specifically would you want to do in Vacaville to address climate change?
As I mentioned in the opening statement, one of the big things I was pushing the last 3.5, almost 4 years now is net zero energy for the city, because we're paying PG&E approximately $5 million a year. So yes, expanding upon the renewable energy in Vacaville will greatly help out with the renewable, because that's a lot of energy that the city uses, as well as bringing in more local jobs, because less people are driving, because right now 80 something percent of Vacaville commutes outside the city. So the more jobs we have locally, it's less miles traveled on vehicles, less emissions going into the atmosphere, and will ultimately help out with the climate change.
Okay. You voted against having community choice energy. Why?
The primary reason was that MCE didn't necessarily, while it is clean energy source, it didn't bring any benefits or would reduce energy rates, whereas some other cities have started their own community choice energy service, for example, like San Francisco, where they started their own for the city. And the energy cost is substantially less than what PG&E and what MCE was providing. And so I was working with the city manager to see what it would take for Vacaville or potentially Solano County, because that'd be the best of both worlds. You're providing clean energy as a community choice, as well as lowering the cost of energy for the city and it's the people that live within it.
I'll read the next question. I think Don might be copying again. The city of Vacaville has recently approved.
Sorry.
Oh, are you there?
Yeah. As I was saying, the city of Vacaville has recently approved development for the Lagoon Valley Development Project, which will add thousands of commuters to I-80. Do you support California Forever and other large housing developments?
Just for clarification, the Lagoon Valley development was approved in '97, I believe. We just approved the or the facilities district for that. In terms of California Forever, I don't support the location that it's going into. I do think it's a interesting, novel idea. I think it'd be great, but where it's at is not a appropriate place for it. There's no infrastructure, the roadways, power. There's nothing there. There's much better places for a community like that. Like if you get off 505 or anywhere off I-5 or 99, there's plenty of spots that can support something like that more reasonably than someplace off Highway 12 out in the middle agricultural areas. Sorry, starting to scroll back to see the question. So other large housing developments are, the large housing developments are, there's lots of pros and cons. If they're too small, they don't produce enough money for the school districts, because school districts is tied to the size of the development, how much money they can get in. But if it's too big, it brings in too many people at one time. So it's a fine balance game on how big developments should be and where they should be located.
All right, thank you. Next question is, one of the pressing issues that all of Solano County is facing is the lack of affordable housing availability. What will you do to ensure that actual affordable housing is built or otherwise made available in Vacaville?
Yeah, the only real way I see that affordable housing be able to come into Vacaville or any city in the Bay Area is inclusionary zoning, because this, as Steve Young mentioned, cities don't build housing. We have to essentially make them build it because they're not going to build it, and just giving us land, we still can't build it even if we have plots of land for it.
All right, thank you. And that marks our time, and we appreciate you taking the time to fill out the questionnaire and join us this evening, as well as your service, both as an elected official and as a public employee. So that concludes our candidate interviews for the evening. Tom has provided the link to the endorsement ballot for everyone, as well as the passcode. So I encourage you all to fill that out. And make your votes known. Tom, your hand's up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if you need me to email it to you, please put it in chat. Because only members attending this meeting are allowed to vote per our bylaws. If you are not attending this meeting, then you are not allowed to vote. And for alternates attending this meeting, if your member is voting, then your vote, if you choose to vote, will not count. Because the members is the primary vote for endorsement.
And just to clarify, you need to attend at some portion during this meeting. We will have the attendance log. So we will note that you don't necessarily have to be here through the entire meeting. We have our business items coming up next, but in the interest of everyone's sanity, I'm going to give us a brief 3-minute recess for whatever needs you might have, water, stretch, what have you. We'll be back at 8:55.
Tom, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
I don't think I understand the process for the voting. I must say, I opened up the general election, and then how do I get the authentication? Okay, I can't say it. How do I get the code? Or is that in the chat?
I did not realize I was on mute. And I was saying some beautiful words. I'll email it to you, Bonnie. And if anyone else needs it, please put it in there. All right, so I got Tiffany, Michael. Yeah, Michael, I haven't sent an email. It's been posted in chat, but if you need me to send an email, I can. But the link is there along with the authentication code that you need to vote. Yeah.
Oh, is the code this thing here? The
Yeah, it's underneath the link.
SCDCC.
It's right underneath the link that he
Gotcha.
posted. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Okay, then I do have it, I guess.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't
Thanks,
have it.
Tom.
Well, I can't copy and paste it. That's the thing. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I think that is I don't know why Zoom does that. I've looked for a way to stop that, but I'll send it to you. But I did try to make it sort of short and understandable so you can type it, but I will send it out. Actually, I'll just send out what I just sent. But
Thank
please
you,
note,
sir.
yeah, please note that only members attending this meeting at some point in time, only their votes will be counted. That is per our bylaws.
And you've been taking roll.
Well, actually, Zoom takes the role. I just look at it. It is an automated feature of our system. And I am showing, while we're on our commercial break, a commercial for those of us. We are hosting a summer fun thing. If you go to our website with summer party at the end, you can get tickets to attend. Also, September 10th, on our commercial break, I'm gonna put this out there. We are hosting a debate watch party, September 10th at 5:30 p.m. at Denny's restaurant. If you go to our Facebook page, you will see a couple of events for this, and they have the ticket links there as well. And then maybe Karen, can you put those links to it in the chat?
I'll put them in the chat. Yes.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, we're at 8:55, and hopefully everyone's had a chance to get their legs back underneath them, get a water, whatever they might need.
What's the name of the email with the code in it?
I'm sending it right now, Matthew.
Okay, thank you.
Also,
Sorry.
it is also in chat if you need it.
And as I heard Tom mention a couple of times, only people who are present at some point in this meeting are eligible to vote. So quite honestly, even if you choose to share it with missing friends, their votes would not be tallied. All right, moving on to business. We have another expenditure items that we do need approval for. The first item we have already taken action on the insurance, but we would like to have approval of the purchase of the Central Communities insurance for 2024-25, which I understand was in the amount of $725. That includes the special event certificates we need for holding our fundraising events. So am I correct in that figure, Karen, that it was $725? Or are you back yet?
That's the number she had on the budget, Don.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
I move that we approve 725 for insurance for the year.
Second.
All right, second. Are there any questions? I'm seeing no questions. So Tom, if you go ahead and launch that poll, please. And hopefully everyone who wishes to vote has taken the opportunity to vote. I encourage you to please get your ballots cast.
Okay, stopping the poll. We're at 1 minute and 10 seconds.
All right, and it appears to have been unanimous. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Next item I have. Sorry?
Sorry, that was me coughing.
Okay. That's my responsibility. Next item I have on our agenda in order of priority is the approval of printing the local endorsements on our door hangers. We have received confirmation from the parties that our door hangers are currently at our printers or at the state's printers, and they're expected to be ready the first week of September. We have information that if we ask that the printer doing these door hangers for the state can also print on our local endorsement information if we ask them to do so. But we did have some other quotes available, so I'm going to ask Paula to just talk about the printing quotes that she got and make a recommendation.
I'm going to recommend that we go with firefighters. That's where the door hangers are. So we wouldn't have to go pick them up and move them someplace else. And they've agreed to hold them, knowing that they won't get info from us until at least September 8th, because we won't know until after the September 7 meeting whether or not who we're going to endorse. So firefighters has agreed to that. The only thing that I did not ask them, because it hadn't occurred to me until I looked at the old bill, was that we take the total number of door hangers and then we parcel them out into like 4 different sections for the different parts of the state, because we can't fit everybody on one door hanger and put it throughout the whole county. So 2 years ago, firefighters charged us about $200 to do 4 different imprints, in addition to the actual cost of the imprint. So the quote that she gave me, sorry, I'm not being very articulate. The quote that I got from Caitlin at firefighters was about $1,000. for our 36,000 door hangers. And I didn't think to ask her until late today about the 4 imprints, but assuming based on what was in the past, I'm asking for a little bit more than the 1,200, just in case it runs over that. But so I asked for a quote from Jay's Quality Printing and did not hear back from her after we had exchanged several emails. And one final quote from a place in Concord that was also an estimate of about $1,200, but we would have to go pick up the door hangers in Sac, take them to Concord, pick them up again. The firefighters is just easier. Plus, they did ours last time, so they know how to do it.
Okay, Bonnie, I see your hand next.
Yeah, hi. Paula, I just want to make sure that, my district, if you all choose to endorse me, my district, it goes all the way across the county, at least from Fairfield, Vacaville, as well as Dixon, up to Dixon. So just to keep that in mind.
We certainly know how to track all the various districts, so.
Are you sure? Okay, great. Thank you.
Monica,
I move that we spend up to $1,500 to include, I think that would be enough, Paula, for what you were
Yes.
talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
all right. We have a motion, a second. Is there any other discussion? All right, not seeing any discussion. If we would launch the poll. All right, has everyone voted who wishes to vote on this matter? No, please get your votes in.
We got like 10 seconds left.
I'm sorry, did it get sent and I missed it?
It's currently running, yes.
Oh, it didn't pop up for me. My
Are
answer
you on
is
a mobile?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Want me to put it in the text?
You can do that, yeah, but
Okay.
it passes easily.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I'll survive since I made the motion.
All right, thank you, everyone.
You.
And then the next 2 items are, I will just add before we address them, is that these would be asking for these to be contingent upon the discretion of the treasurer as to when she makes the disbursements, if they are approved in light of our finances. The first item is approval of reimbursement for the Harris Walls lawn signs. As many of you are aware, Central Committee has obtained 100 lawn signs, which have all been distributed. Those were purchased by Paula, and we're very grateful for that. And so the motion would be to reimburse her for those 100 lawn signs in the amount of $608, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So moved.
I move that we reimburse Paul the $608 for the yard signs.
Okay, are there any questions on that?
Who made the initial motion there?
I did.
Okay.
And then, well,
I'll
you can
second
say-
it then.
Yeah, Karen and I both motion. We did a double motion.
Okay, not
Princess
seeing
Leia
any,
dance motion.
any hands up. Let's launch that poll.
Okay. There you go. The poll has been launched. Okay. It looks as if everyone has already voted. So if you have not, okay, I'm going to end the poll
All right, that is
and
approved.
motion passes.
Then the final item is I think we had such tremendous success with the lawn signs, and they proved to be a good fundraiser for us, is to authorize spending for additional lawn signs on a funds available basis. They're available, 100 lawn signs for, again, $608. We were selling them for $15, so that gives us a substantial cushion for fundraising availability. And again, this would be at the discretion of our treasurer as funds are available to do so, but that would be the ask to approve that. Tom?
Yeah, sorry, I just, Karen and I worked out a motion language here, but based on what you're saying, are you saying that we want to do this multiple times or just one more time?
I would leave that to, I would get feedback from you. I think if they continue selling like hotcakes, I would not want to limit us, but I certainly don't want us to be stuck with, say, 95 lawn signs at the end of the thing because we got ambitious and then they suddenly stopped selling. But I will defer to the experts on discretion on that. The next hand I saw up was Monica's.
I'm hoping that with the debate that we'll charge $10 again. That might help with getting the money. But if you need some money to get started on this, I'm happy, as Paula did, to loan money to get going so that maybe we could even have them at the debate and sell them there also. I'm just throwing out some ideas.
That's a great idea.
Carrie?
Because the first batch went so quickly, can we order 200 so we have them on hand, as the app is fierce right now? And that way we don't get stuck, later on reordering and with the 95 extras.
I think I know that there are various levels that we can order at. Again, one of the issues is the cash flow, and I don't have the figures for the various tiers in front of me. I'll be honest about that. And, just from my perspective, our first priority is actually our door hangers for our candidates. But beyond that, if we can either have donations or loans or what have you to pay for them, I'm certainly amenable to that. But that's up for discussion. Next hand up is Paula's.
Yeah, I just wanted to caution you, particularly Monica. What I didn't realize when I ordered those signs is that my name and home address is at the bottom of 100-yard signs. So we really
that's
want
what
the central committee to pay for this. If you want to donate to the central committee,
Right.
but it really just saying.
Yeah, no. That's what you meant when you were telling me. No, I don't. I mean, I love my name, but no.
Exactly.
So I'm happy, Karen. Maybe you and I can talk tomorrow. I can put money in. And if I may, also, anytime we have anybody use Act Blue, we should have them pay what the cost is to use it. Just because of all the fundraisers that I went have been going to, that's what I have to do when they use Act Blue.
Yeah.
Well,
So just something to think about too, but
something to
yes,
consider. However,
I'm sorry,
hand is
off on
up
a tangent.
next. So if you'll allow the chair to call on people in order.
Kathy's hand was up before mine.
Well, she dropped it, so unless you're ready to go again, Kathy.
I raised it again.
I just want to
didn't drop it
clarify
on
the
purpose.
motion after the discussion, so I
Okay.
can go last.
Yeah, I would maybe hesitate about ordering 200 signs. I think I'd order. Paula, do you get free shipping after how many signs?
It's free shipping for any level of order because the
Oh,
minimum
any
is
level.
100.
I would maybe stick with 100 for the next order, but I think it's a great idea.
Karen.
Okay, I am recommending that we order 100 signs because we can always reorder. And as we sell out of them, then we can reorder. But to order 200, I think we might have, some of them a little bit longer than we want to. Although they have been going out pretty fast, and I anticipate that they'll be going out even faster as we get closer to the election. But just to be a little conservative, I would order 100 at a time and see how it goes. Because we just had those for, maybe 10 days and they're gone. So just my thoughts and recommendations.
Okay, Bonnie.
Yeah, how long does it take to get them? So I guess my question would be, if we order them, how long does it take to get? And I would agree that I would just get 100 at a time and then go from there.
7 to 10 days is what we're talking about. But Paul, I think it was a little bit less than that.
Right? So
I'm sorry.
We know when we're getting short, so then we can start to order. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paula, do you have the exact timeline on that?
I do not.
Okay, because I don't remember myself.
But I think it was about 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
The ones that I ordered personally before that, I never did get from the campaign, but it was from a different source.
No.
What I would suggest with the motion is that we give them authority to order another 100 if the first 100 goes really fast, because otherwise we're not going to be able to make this decision until the end of next month.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So I would like to make a motion that we
Okay.
approve spending for purchasing of additional Harris Walls yard signs as a fundraiser as organized by the e-board.
I would second that. This is Bonnie Hamilton.
Okay. That is the motion to authorize as organized by the e-board. And I'm sure that, well, I can speak for at least 2 members of the e-board. We're going to be very cautious about exercising that authority without the money in hand.
Right.
So does anyone have any questions about this or any discussion about this motion as put forward?
I just have a clarification. So are you saying that that the motion doesn't include the money to be spent?
It's my understanding it's a rather open-ended authorization at the discretion of the e-board, with the understanding that the signs cost up to $608 per 100 signs.
So can we amend the motion to include the cost if we decide to buy more? That's what I would.
I think Tom's motion intent was to leave it open-ended so that if they did sell, we had the authority to place a second order and a third order and so on. But
right.
I defer to him.
Right. But my question is, in that motion, does that also include the money to pay for it? That's I'm confused.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. The motion as read is approve spending for purchasing of additional Harris Walls yard signs as a fundraiser as organized by the e-board. So it includes the spending of money to purchase.
Any other questions? Please raise your hands.
I just had a statement to make.
Okay.
And that is that just for everybody's information, actually, these signs are a pretty good deal because the Harris Walls, their merchant shop sells them for $20. So we're selling them for 15. So folks are really happy to get them and they want to buy as many as they can when they do. So it's an FYI.
All right. Not seeing any other hand. Jeanette.
I just missed something somewhere. So are they the kind that you stick in the ground? Do they come with the holder, or are they just ones that you put in your window?
No, they're yard signs with the stakes.
With the stake? It comes with the stake?
Yep.
Yeah, with the stake, the double
is really
sided.
good. Yeah, it's really good for that then. Thanks.
Yeah, this is the steal of the century, basically. I'm sorry, the deal of the century.
Yeah, we don't want to be compared to someone else who steals. Okay, are we ready to launch this poll?
I'm hoping so. Please launch the poll.
No felonies here.
Who made, Tom, you made that motion? Who seconded it?
Bonnie did.
Okay, thanks.
Carrie, I see your hands up.
While we're waiting that minute, I just wanted to say that I feel very strongly about continuing the online auction, and I can manage the on-premise activities for our related to the auction at the fundraiser. Because remember, I have that Steph Curry bottle of whiskey. I've got like 2 or 3 other things. Monica's bringing more stuff over to my house tomorrow. So even if it's modest, I think we should go forward with the auction at our fundraiser, and I can step up and help manage that. And while I have the mic, thank you, Vernil, for sending the meeting invite out to the fundraising committee for this Sunday at 7 p.m.
Okay, time has elapsed for the poll, and the answer is it's a fundraiser. Yay.
Okay, thank you all.
And I have on screen right now the fundraiser at which that bottle of whiskey that Carrie is donating with a signature from Steph Curry, right? Will be auctioned at, and the auction will be going live starting Monday on our website. Same URL.
Awesome. And I thank the fundraising committee for all their hard work putting this event together. And I will just add to the general discussion of earlier, if any of you are so moved to make a contribution to the Central Committee, whether it's in furtherance of the printing of the door hangers or the purchasing of lawn signs or otherwise supporting election activity, I am sure that Karen will be happy to provide you the appropriate ActBlue URL or mailing address if you wish to send a check. Kathy, I see your hands up.
Oh, I was just going to say we should start really publicizing the signed bottle of whiskey. And are you going to auction that, do the final auction for that at the fundraiser itself?
That is a Carrie
This will be
question.
discussed, I guess, Sunday, but I think
Yeah.
that's very exciting.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think
For
that's
those of you
we'll
who
have to
want
talk
Seth
about that.
Curry signed whiskey, indulge. All right, moving along so that we can close this out. In time for me to take my next dose of medication. I have public comment for our guests. Next item on the agenda, this is for guests to the meeting. All comments are limited to 2 minutes. Additional time may not be granted. Comment period may not exceed 30 minutes. Do any of our guests have any comments they wish to make? I'm seeing no hand up. Going once, going twice. Public comment is closed. announcements. Does anyone have any announcements that they wish to make at this time? All right, folks, I will just say, adding to the announcements, Central Committee is having its debate party on the 10th. It's having its summer fundraiser on the 14th. The Central Labor Council is having its Labor Day breakfast the morning of Labor Day in Benicia. And I know there are many other events going on by various and sundry candidates happening. Encourage you to check Facebook, check their various websites and all that. For those events, I'm seeing no other hands for announcements at this time.
Don?
Yeah.
Also, our second endorsement meeting is the 7th.
Yes, our
And
second
there will be a
endorsement
link.
meeting is the 7th, starting at 9 o'clock. We will be expected to go into the afternoon, so there will be pre-planned breaks for that. If you are not able to attend, encourage you to have your alternate attend. But again, remember, whoever is voting needs to attend at least part of the meeting. They do not need to attend all of the meeting. So if you know how you're planning to vote, you're free to drop in so that you're counted and then fill out the ballot. But we do need to maintain some semblance of a quorum throughout that meeting.
And the interview or questionnaire response packet will go out the 2 days prior. So look for that on the 5th, if not the 4th.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And again, if you have not submitted a report for your club, your elected official, your committee for this meeting already, please submit it in writing to our secretary. She will forward it out. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, I heard a motion and I will consider that as a second I heard. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
There's a poll.
Who's gonna vote against adjourning?
I don't
Somebody
know. I'm
did.
just enjoying
It's
myself so
9:30.
much.
Come on.
Have a good
It
evening,
happened.
everyone.
Maybe I missed it, but how is the voting for the endorsements going to happen?
It's happening.
The link has been dropped into the thing for members to get
It's
as
dropped
well
into the
as the
chat?
password.
Yeah.
And voting will conclude 1 hour after the end of the meeting. And then we will tally it up and the results will be announced once they've been, again, tallied up and verified. So probably tomorrow or the next day.
All right. I'm looking for it in the chat. You're saying it's
Hey,
a
Steve.
written authentication?
They sent an email, Steve, so
Oh, it's an
go to
email, not in the
email.
chat.
Yeah.
It's
and-
both.
It's
Well,
both.
it's both, yeah.
And you,
Okay, everyone.
and only members can vote.
Right.
And if they can't vote, then their alternates can.
All right, voting will end at 10:23. And so you have
Okay.
1 hour to complete your ballots. And
Thank
I'll
you.
just remind you all, if you are in crowded locations, mask up again.
Mhm.
And I heard the big C was out there at that convention. It wasn't just standing for convention.
Yeah, many delegates.
The
came
websites
to-
for the summer paella as well as the debate night, I'm gonna have to send them to you for you to send out because I couldn't
So-
click and copy.
So for that, they can just, for the summer paella, I think is the way you say that.
Paella? Okay.
Is just go to our website and you'll see it at the top. There's a bug on the top of the screen that will give you, click that and you can buy your tickets. And please pay attention. There are 2 options for buying tickets. Pay attention if you are a candidate, right? Karen, maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah, if you're a candidate, there are various levels that you can purchase, so you want to pay close attention to that too.
Yeah, and
I think
there's but
it's
there's a
$1,000.
yeah, there's a state and a federal link.
Right.
So
Right.
please go there. And then there will also be a bug at the top of the website, Solano Democrats, for our debate watch party. It's going to be oh, not that one. It's going to be the takedown of the century.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
Oh,
Take
the
down.
the last one I was crying. So this one's got to be better. But
Don't jinx it, Tom.
I'm
If he
not
shows
jinxing
up,
anything.
right?
I'm
If
joyfully
he shows
hopeful. I'm joyfully hopeful.
No, you're hope-optimistic.
Oh, I like that. I like that. I'm gonna steal that. I like that.
I'm hope-optimistic about the future
I am too.
of our country and our peoples.
And as you can see, I did use the picture of the one who I will not call the name of from his court appearances. And of course, the sassy looking picture of our soon to be next president of the United States, the former California Attorney General. So
who he's more attractive?
The phenomenal.
I mean, I'm not looking at looks for this event. I'm looking at someone who's a good, decent human being. We had one before. We have one again. You know, we had.
Yeah, that's.
And for our democracy, folks. Yeah. So anyway,
okay.
All right.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Yeah, Karen, can you send me those links and I'll make sure I'll update the site with those.
I'll email them to you.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Good night, everyone.
All right. Bye. I'm gonna go ahead and end the meeting.